at the end, because I might not be able to see all your questions during the session. Okay, as we go through this, because we have so many people here today. But what I promise you is at the end, I always stick around for a Q&A and answer whatever questions you've got. All right, so when we get to the Q&A, remind me about the template, the PDF, because a lot of times after about an hour, I tend to forget. Okay, so that's your job to remind me. I do like to tailor these sessions for you. Here's a time for that interaction that we talked about. I usually only give about 60 seconds for interaction like this to keep a good pace throughout the webinar. I want to make sure to focus on what you need. So let me ask you in the chat, what's the hardest part about making money in the market for you? All right, so share with me in the chat, just kind of a few words. What is the hardest part for you about making money in the market? Brent just typed in consistency. John said, just getting started. James, I love it. James says, days like today. Yeah, was the S&P, the last time I checked before today's webinar, was down like 60 points, right? So we'll talk about that today. When to sell, when you have a profit, says Lamanta. When to buy, says Andrew. And Nick added to that. Nick says, when to buy or sell. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of those things. Like if I were to sum it up, knowing when to buy a stock, knowing which stock to buy, the volatility of the market, right? As you can hear, there's a lot of investors in the same boat as you. They're sharing this. You're not alone. Now, I'm not going to kill you with stats here, but let me just share this with you. Did you know that actually most investors fail at investing when they get in there? In fact, in Europe, the brokers over there actually have to state on their website the percentage of their clients who are losing money. And on average, on their sites, it says 76% of investors are negative. Research also shows that the average investor underperforms the S&P over a 30-year period. You can see here the S&P averaged just about 10%, while the average investor was at 7%. And if you consider inflation, your real returns are like under 5%. And when this happens, it causes you to curse the market. You think the market gods are against you. You might even label yourself a failure. You feel like giving up. But if you do it right, you won't have to stress about your trades because you'll have things under control. Even if a trade goes for you or against you, you'll be in control and you'll be able to trade with confidence. So, to do that, let us jump right in and look at how to move from inconsistent to consistent gains. The first thing we need to fix are the mistakes that you're making that are causing you to be inconsistent. The way I see it is there's actually 4 big mistakes that cause you to be inconsistent. It's extremely important that you understand this part or you'll never be able to fix things. All right? The first one, the first mistake is that you think of the money first. You might be thinking right now, Brian, I want to make money. That's the whole point of why I'm investing. How could that be the mistake? Well, that's true for any profession. Like every profession wants to make money. Do all professionals think of money first when doing their job? I mean, how would you feel if you were sitting in the dentist chair getting ready to have a cavity filled or some other work done, right? And you knew your dentist was thinking about how much money he was making off of you. I wouldn't feel great. And do you think that dentist would do his best work? No way. He should be thinking about doing his job well. I want you to write this down. Successful people go into work and concentrate on doing their job well. That's the key statement. If you are successful with your job, that means you're doing your job well. If you do your job well, you get paid for your good work. The only place you're going to find success coming before the word work is in the dictionary. Now, there's a great book out there on investing. It's called Trading for a Living. All right. So Trading for a Living. It's written by Dr. Alexander Elder, E-L-D-E-R. It is a great book. So if you have a chance, pick it up. It's on Amazon somewhere, I'm sure. He talks a lot, well, a lot about different things about investing. But one of the things that he spends a good amount of time on is talking about the psychology of what it takes to be a good investor. The point of this is that successful traders don't treat trading as a hobby. They treat it as a job. Just like a dentist and just like you at your job, you think about doing your job well. And if you do your job well, the money will follow as a result. So your goal as a trader, now I hate to say trader, but let's just say your goal as an investor is to make the best trades. You should write that down and underline it. My goal is to make the best trades. And if you make the best trades, money will follow from that. You're not going to have 100% winners, but if you're making the best trades, you're going to be making money over time. If you take care of the process, the scoreboard takes care of itself. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make the best trades later on in today's session. When you are thinking about the money, that's going to cause you to be very emotional, especially like today. Somebody mentioned in the chat, right? James mentioned it in the chat a moment ago. In days where the market's up, then it's down like today. There's a lot of emotional trades going on. And when you're emotional, that's when you make bad decisions. If you think about the person with road rage, you think about the decisions that person makes? Are they the same decisions they would make otherwise? The answer is no. I'm going to give you a little quiz, but sometimes people think, well, I'm not really that emotional. Like there's trades just go against me. I'm going to give you 5 statements, and can you just jot down if you've made any of these statements? And in the chat box, let me know if you have, but also let me know if you remember the last time you said it. So the first one is, I know it's down now, but it'll come back. Right? So I know it's down now, but it'll come back. The second one, it's already down 20%. It could be 30%, 40%, 60%. It's already down whatever percent. I might as well hold on to it now. Right? Have you ever said either one of those? Number 3, I have a profit, but man, if I close it now, it'll probably keep going up. So I'm not going to close. Number 4, I know I lost more than I wanted to lose, but if I close it now, it'll probably go up tomorrow. And then number 5 is, the last time I sold the stock, it kept going up. So you know what? I'm not going to sell this one just yet. I'm going to give it another day. So in the chat, let me know. Like, have you said any of those? And if you can remember, when was the last time you said it? Brian says, I've done all of them. Jim says, yes, yes, no. And then Jim said, no and no to the last 2. John says, yes. Brent says, I'm guilty of all 5. Eric says, yes to all. John O, actually we have 2 John O's. The other John O says yes. Yes to all says West. Jeffrey says yes, all of them. Himantal says yes to all. Yeah. These statements are all emotional statements and most likely led to poor results. They're examples of things like frustration, fear, greed, despair, hope. And if you're thinking any of these things before, during, or after your trades, you're not going to be successful. So what we need to build in a system. You need to have a system which eliminates this. Okay, so mistake number 1, by the way, is the one mistake that is more psychological. And I know I spent a little bit more time on that, but you believe it or not, it is the biggest thing that we need to fix to be successful, is the psychological part. The rest of the part's going to be easier. Okay, the rest that I'm going to share you are more mechanical mistakes. The second mistake that people make is they buy stocks that are going down. Now, it could be going down over a full year. It could be going down over the past month, the past week, or even that day. If you're buying stocks that are going down at all, that's a mistake. Now, unfortunately, this happens a lot because it's what you've been told to do. A lot of people feel they don't have the skills or knowledge to invest on their own. So what do? They turn to the gurus to get their stock picks. And those gurus tell people to buy stocks that are falling because, hey, they're cheaper. You could buy more shares of them now. If you own it, you could dollar cost average. But let me show you what ends up happening a lot of times. This is actually a real life example from one of our clients. When he first came to us years ago, he showed me this stock. Let's talk about this. First off, it is a graph of a typical stock that you might get told to buy because it is quote unquote low. How much lower can it go, you're told? Let me get my laser pointer out. They'll say, hey, we're going to get in here and we're going to ride this thing all the way back up. Well, the same advisors telling you to get in over here, they were telling clients to get in over here, to get in over here, to get in over here. And they've got clients that have been riding this thing down, down, and down. Right? Now, back then, back when this screenshot was taken, one of our newer clients, like I mentioned, he came to one of our weekly coaching webinars that we do. Basically, we get together with our clients several times throughout the week, but on Thursdays specifically, we talk about what I'm talking about here. He came to that Thursday session and he typed this into the chat box. He said, hey, what do you think about Windstream? I just bought it 2 days ago. So if you look at the chart, he bought it 2 days prior, which is that last green candle. This was a classic example of being taught to buy stocks that are moving down. The good thing is, after we talked to him for a little bit, he did type this into the chat box. He said, hey, I'm selling it now. We will talk more about why he sold it in just a little bit, but I want to get across the main point. Remember, the main mistake is that when you buy stocks that are going down like this, they typically continue to drop. For example, Windstream, after he sold it here, it dropped over another 10% in the next 2 weeks. And then over the next several months, it dropped 60%. And then, in fact, I looked at it a couple of years later. It eventually filed for bankruptcy and was trading at like 20 cents. Imagine if he didn't sell it. On each of these little upswings that you see in here, you just get so hopeful, right? It's like, oh man, now's the time. Now's the time it's coming back. Only to watch the stock go lower and lower and lower. I mean, has that ever happened to you where you're like, hey, now's the time. It's coming back finally. And then it just goes down. Keep this in mind. What you see in the past is most likely what will happen in the future. Being taught to buy stocks that look like this is one of the big reasons people make the third mistake, which is holding on to losers too long. You might have been in the same shoes as Steve, where you bought a stock and right after you bought it, it started to fall. And then you just end up holding on to that losing trade thinking, oh man, it'll come back. It'll come back. I couldn't have been wrong on this one. Or worse yet, you buy more of it because it's falling. One of the worst things you could do is buy a stock and not have an exit plan. It's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. You actually want to know how and when you will exit a trade before you even enter it. If it goes for you, you want to have a plan for that. If it goes against you, you want to have a plan for that. Do not enter a trade unless you have an exit plan. If you look back at Windstream, a lot of investors would have just sat on that trade hoping it would come back and then find that they're still holding it years later. And here's a key point. What happens then? You open up your portfolio every day and you stare at it. It is so emotionally draining to have those sitting in your portfolio. It is a constant reminder that you are bad at something. Like you're bad at what you do. I mean, you also have the opportunity cost of not being able to put that money to work in a trade that's actually going up. We don't want that to happen. So you're not going to buy stocks that are going down anymore. And when you get into a trade, you'll have an exit plan. The fourth mistake causing people to lose money is they ignore market direction. This is huge. For years, the gurus out there taught investors that buy and hold is the way to go. Unfortunately, this causes a roller coaster ride for your portfolio. And have you ever been on a roller coaster? right? A roller coaster, when you're going up, it's slow, right? It's like click, 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 click. All right, just like your portfolio seems to go up slowly. Click, 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 click. And then what is it like on the way down? Fast. Vroom. And it feels like your portfolio is like that when you're doing the buy and hold strategy. There's probably some of you here in this room today who held stocks or mutual funds through the dot-com bubble when it burst, the global financial crisis, and through COVID, just to name the three biggest ones of our lifetime. After the dot-com crash, it took 7 years for the buy and hold investor to get back to break even. If we look at the global financial crisis, it took 6 years for the market to rise. So you see that here? It took 6 years for the market to go up and 1 year to lose almost everything. That's the roller coaster ride. The average mutual fund dropped over 40%. When you lose 40%, you need to gain 66% just to get back to break even. Here, it took 5.5 years for the buy and hold investor to get back to break even. During COVID, the S&P dropped 34% in 1 month and took another 6 months after that to recover. And what about today? Like right now? I just want you to understand it doesn't have to be a financial crisis like those three that I just showed you. Today, buy and hold investors are still not back to where they were 2.5 years ago. So I want to ask you this. We just looked at 4 mistakes. In the chat box, which of these mistakes has cost you the most? You get just a gut feel, right? Which of these has cost you the most? And maybe just share with me how much. Now, remember, nobody else can see your chat here in GoToWebinar. Now, if you're watching on the stream on YouTube, other people can see what you're typing in. You could just share which of these has cost you the most and how much. I had somebody say that number 3, they were looking at a stock and they were down like it was like $100,000 loss. It doesn't have to be $100,000. Even if you're down $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 or more, I mean, that's tough to look at every day, depending on the size of your portfolio, right? Edward and Brent both say number 3, holding losers too long. And I'm not sharing last names, by the way. So Andrew says number 3, an $18,000 loss. Number 3 for James, a $25,000 loss. Bud says number 2, buying stocks that are going down. Yeah, I mean, just with what I've read so far, you get the idea that these mistakes can be very costly. So those are the mistakes. All right, but I want you to understand this. The big problem is the model that you've been using to invest is broken. You've been taught a broken investing model. To fix it, we need to install the correct system. I want to share with you the system that we use with our clients. It's a system that we teach and support with live coaching every single week. Right? So we do this every week with our clients, and I want to share it with you. So if you have a piece of paper, just flip it over to the back side, get a nice blank piece to it. In these webinars, like today, when you and I are here together, I like to draw it out as a triangle because I want you to get the idea that by doing these 5 steps, it leads down to 2 things. So take that triangle and just split it into 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. The first one, right? We're going to put that at the very top. The first thing that we teach people to do and that you should do is you want to be able to analyze any of the stocks that you own. So let's just call that stock analysis. You want to do some stock analysis of the stocks that you own. It's like taking an inventory of the things that are in your portfolio now. Some of you might be listening to this and you don't have stocks now. That's fine. You could look at stocks that you've owned in the past. There's 3 main things that I want you to focus on when it comes to stock analysis. I say that because in investing, you could get buried with data and analysis. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. So I'm going to give you a little tease right now of the things that we're going to be talking about more when we get to what a good stock looks like. But there's 3 things I want you to focus on. Just focus on these 3 things at first and not get buried with all these other things that are out there. Number 1, so I'm just going to put it over here. Number 1, I'm going to try and write as neatly as possible. I'm just going to put E for earnings. So number 1, you want to focus on the company's earnings. Are they making money? Are the earnings of that company rising? Okay, that's the first thing. Number 2, I wish I could have written a little smaller, but number 2 is the price of the stock. Is it over or under its value? All right, so I'm just going to put P/V, price to value. Ideally, the price of the stock would be under its value. Now, I'll show you the tool that I use to get value, but just understand at this point, you want to see whether the stock's price is over or under its value. You want to favor the ones that are under. And then number 3, which I'll just put over here, number 3, you want to look at the stock's price trend. Is it in an uptrend or downtrend? Now, ideally, we're going to look for uptrend. So I'm going to put a little up arrow, but I'm just going to put P over here. That'll stand for price. You want to know the price trend. Once you know those 3 things, you're then able to move on to step 2. So you've taken an inventory of the stocks that you own. The second thing that we teach people to do is you want to take those stocks that you own and you want to know your exits. Many people own stocks and they have no exit planned in mind, right? And you can let me know in the chat, like, do you have a stop in place for every one of your stocks? You need to make sure that every stock that you own has a stop in place, which minimizes your risk and prevents you from holding on to losers too long. So you want to know your exits. So in this stage, we also teach people, by knowing your exits, we teach them to weed out the stocks that really should have been sold a while ago, and then make sure that there are stops on all of the rest. Okay, so at this point, once you've completed step 2, you have an understanding of the stocks that you own. You're also weeded out the bad ones, and you're left with some other ones that have stops in place. The third thing is, before you go out and buy something new, you don't want to ignore the market direction anymore. Remember, that was one of the big mistakes. So you want a definite signal or some sort of rule in place to make sure you know when the market is rising. Okay, so you know that it's okay to be buying. Some people out there just use moving averages on the S&P. I'll talk about what I use in just a little bit, but for now, right, just write down that you need to understand the market, and you need to have a buying signal that tells you whether it is okay to buy that day. Okay? Fourth, once you know it is okay to buy, you want to buy good stocks. You don't want to just go out there and buy stocks that are going down. Remember, that was a mistake. So you want to find good quality stocks that are rising in price for your portfolio. You want a technique that finds those stocks that are likely to go up and not down. And then lastly, you don't want to trade emotionally. So you want a written plan. A written plan helps you to remove emotion. Right? And that plan is something that you're going to follow because you know it works. Okay, and like I said, it's not just a plan in your head, but it should also be written down. By using these 5 steps, like I said, it leads to 2 things. And I'll just write 2 little lines down here. It's going to lead to 2 things. I call them the 2 C's, right? A C over here and a C over here. The first C is it's going to give you confidence, right? I'm not going to write out the full word confident. I'm just write conf. It's going to give you confidence. Okay, and then over here, it's going to lead to consistency. Okay, no more roller coaster rides. You're going to have steady, consistent growth in your portfolio. Will it go up every single day? No, right? You're going to have ups and downs, but you're going to have smaller downs. It's going to be like a staircase going higher over time. The first thing that you want to do is take a look at these 5 steps, and you're going to focus in on the area where you're lacking. So what I'd like you to do is just take out your pen and put a little star next to where you're good. Okay, so you might be really good at finding good stocks, right? So put a little star there. Okay, and maybe every one of the stocks in your portfolio has a stop in place. Well, maybe there's a star there. I don't know. If there's an area where something isn't working, like maybe you don't have a written plan, so maybe there'd be a frown over here. If you don't know when to buy, frown over here. If you don't know how to find what a good stock looks like, maybe a frown, right? Whatever yours is. Just do a quick thing, right? So wherever you have a frowny face, that would be an area where you need to focus on first. So now let me ask you, what did you just learn about your investing strategy? In the chat, maybe just share with me, what area do you need to focus on first? So just let me know which is the area that you need to focus on first. Andrew says, I need to work on placing stops. That's the first one I need to focus on. So this would be the area where you have the first frown. Now, Edward says, I need to focus on all. So your first would be the stock analysis. Brent says, stock analysis and exits. Jeffrey says, I got everything except I need a plan. Nick says, the third and the fourth item. Making a plan, says John. Tom says, I got to know my exits. Setting up a plan, says Eric. John says, all. All right, so wherever you have that first frown, that's where you start. All right, so now that we know the overall system, in the time that we've got today, if we go back and look at that system, I want you to walk away from today's webinar knowing pretty good detail about these last two. We're going to take a look at good stocks and a plan. We're also going to take a little bit of a look at the buying signal. All right, so we're going to focus on those primarily. We'll touch on this one. All right, but in the time that we've got today, I want you to walk away from today's webinar knowing those last two, because I promised you to give you the 10-minute management plan. And I want to show you the the buying checklist. Okay, and I'll show you a little bit about number 3 as we go through it. All right. Now let's dig a little deeper and look more closely at how to pick stocks to buy. In fact, I'm going to show you how the top investors out there pick their stocks. Obviously, not everyone is a top investor. What's holding everyone back from being a top investor? Well, most of the problem is actually not your fault, because first, you just get buried by data. There's a lot of places out there that tout how much data they can dump on you. I got this in the mail one day, and I was amazed. I was like, what is this? I got this in the mail, and I'm like, look at all this information that you have to sift through. So here's a company saying, hey, look at all this data we're giving you. It's no wonder investors out there are confused when it comes to which stocks are good, because they have to look at things like this. The other problem is people are spending so much time is because you're not given the right tools. You're not given an easy way to find the best stocks. You're left struggling. It's like, what would happen if you gave a mechanic the wrong wrench for the job? I mean, he would spend forever trying to do the job and get poor results. And then you're taught by the gurus out there that you need to spend a lot of time on each stock. In fact, Kramer was quoted once saying, homework means committing 1 hour per week per stock. Much less than that, and you might as well be gambling. The average person is like, I don't have that time. If you have 10 stocks in your portfolio, you might say you're not spending 10 hours a week on your portfolio. They end up just saying, I'm just going to go to some guru or financial advisor and let them do it for me. When you do this wrong, you end up suffering from analysis paralysis. You spend hours upon hours poring over all the data the market throws at you. And then you end up never making a decision. Plus, when you spend a lot of time staring at something, you end up convincing yourself you see something that really isn't there. You remember in college, I know this was in college, those posters that you would just kind of stare at cross-eyed, trying to figure out what's hidden in the picture? Some people do that with stock graphs. They're like, oh my goodness, I think there's a head and shoulders pattern there somewhere, or a cup and handle. right? So you stare at something long enough, you're going to convince yourself you see something. When you do this right and you know what to look for, you'll be able to look at a graph of a stock and quickly know whether you should buy that stock or not. Let me show you exactly what to look for to get what you want quickly. It all starts with this quote: good portfolio management starts with buying the right stocks. It's just like a sports team. If you fill the team with great players, just having those great players would help the team do well. So by filling your portfolio with really good stocks, just those good stocks alone will help your portfolio do well. Now, let me share the checklist that we teach our clients to use when looking for stocks to buy. Here's that 3-part stock buying checklist that we talked about earlier. Now, you don't have to feverishly write these things down right now, all right? Because we're going to go over them one at a time. And I'm going to show you the same slide when we're done. Okay? First, you want to look for stocks whose price is steadily rising and not volatile. Second, you want to make sure the company's making money and growing their earnings. And then third, you should favor undervalued stocks. Okay, so the first two are going to be the biggest ones. The third one is going to be like a tiebreaker, because you might find two really good stocks, and if those two stocks, if one is undervalued and another one is overvalued, you pick the undervalued one. Okay, let me give you a little quiz. You ready for a quiz? Here's 3 graphs. All right, these are 1-year graphs. It doesn't matter the company. Okay, they're daily candles. I just want you to look at these 3 things. You got 1, 2, and 3 on the screen. I want you to look at these 3 things and decide if you could only choose one of these 3 things to buy today. I know the market's down today, right? Forget about what's going on in the market. But if you could only choose one, which one would you feel the most comfortable buying today? In the chat, just let me know. Give me a 1, a 2, or a 3. Now, I might have swayed you a little bit with what I just taught you as far as the checklist, but let's see what you write down. All right, everybody's typing in number 3. Peter, Brent, Lamanta, Mahesh, Eric, Bud, and so everybody's typing in number 3. Well, exactly. You're going to choose number 3. Why are we choosing number 3? Well, it's not volatile. All right, it's not volatile, and it's already going up in price. In other words, it's already doing what you want. It's rising in a smooth, steady fashion, right? It doesn't go straight up. There's some ups and downs, right? But for the most part, it's smooth and steady going higher. By buying stocks that look like this will help you sleep better at night. When you know you have these types of stocks in your portfolio, you're going to find that you sleep better at night and you're not worrying about your portfolio the next day. Remember, what you see in the past is most likely what will happen in the future. If you've got a stock that is smooth and steady in the past and it's been rising throughout history, more than likely going forward, it's going to continue to be smooth and steady and continue rising going forward. Now, if you look at stock number 2, you could see a lot of volatility, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I mean, you get the idea, right? There's a lot of volatility in there. If a stock is volatile in the past, it will most likely continue to be volatile moving forward. This stock here, number 2, this stock, it may continue to go up over time because some people say, hey, but Brian, it's going higher right now. Well, I'll grant you that. Yeah, you might buy it here and it might go higher. But you know what's not going to change? The volatility. So you might buy it here and it could continue a lot of wild swings moving forward. If that is not something that you want to live through, or even something that you can manage, maybe those big swings down cause you to sell too early and then you watch it spike back up and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have sold. If that's not something that you want, then you should just move on to another stock. Don't even buy it in the first place. And then with stock number 1, this is the one we looked at earlier. It's just steadily falling. A lot of people think by buying it here, right? By buying it here, that they're catching it at the bottom. However, people thought the same thing here. They thought the same thing here, 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 right? Now, in addition to stocks that are rising in price, that's the first part of our checklist. We want to look for companies that are growing their earnings. The second thing on the checklist is to buy companies that are making money and growing their earnings. Here on the graph, I've added EPS, which is earnings per share. Now, this is not just the EPS you would find out there on like Yahoo Finance. Here at VectorVest, that's a company I work for, and that's the program you're looking at here. VectorVest calculates a forecasted earnings per share, which this actually makes it very easy for me and for you, because all you have to do is look for this blue line to be steadily rising over time. Right? I don't have to go out to places like Yahoo Finance or my broker and dig through a ton of earnings data. When a company's earnings is rising, that company can grow. It can put more money into research and development. And we've found that companies with rising earnings have stock prices that tend to go higher over time. I mean, think about this. Wouldn't you rather invest in a company that is making money and making more and more money every year? Now, this right here, what you're looking at here, is about a 10-year chart, really just to illustrate a point. Typically here at VectorVest, what we teach our clients to do, we start by looking at a 1-year graph, and then we expand it out to like 5 years. Now, some people are afraid to buy stocks hitting a new high. Like they'll see this and they're like, oh man, this stock is hitting a new high. And what do they say to themselves? They'll say, I'll wait for a pullback. When people say that they're going to wait for a pullback, what does that mean they're going to do? They're going to go all the way back to the mistake of buying stocks that are going down. If you were afraid to buy it here at like $300 a share, you know what? You would have been afraid to buy it back here, right? Anywhere right around here at 200. You would have been afraid to buy it back here at 100. Back here at, what is that, 75? I mean, you were afraid to buy it at 50. Okay, I want you to shift your thinking, right? Here's a big shift. Think about it this way. The price now, don't think of it as high. The price now might actually be low. All right? Now, the third thing is to favor companies that are undervalued. Again, I'm using a tool called VectorVest. So this is a VectorVest graph because it's easy, right? VectorVest calculates value for me. Over time, what we've found is that a stock's price and its value meet. Most of the time, price will go to meet value. So you would want to favor stock prices that are below their value because it has that upwards pressure pulling it up. So this checklist alone will make you a better investor over time. Now, we're going to do this together in just a moment. We're going to hop in there and look at some stocks in real time. Do you remember Steve from earlier? He was the one who decided to sell Windstream after we talked to him for a few minutes. Well, I said we'd come back to why he sold it. Well, we went through the 3-part checklist. Remember that those 3 things we just looked at? We said, all right, well, Steve, this stock price is going down. Earnings is falling. And the price is over its value. We're like, hey, this meets none of the checklist. All right, instead of doing it that way, here are 3 real-life examples of what could happen when you do it the right way. When you follow the checklist, you could do things like this. Now, I'm going to these 3 examples I'm showing you, these are from our portfolio here at VectorVest. Basically, my co-coach, his name's Todd Schaefer, he and I track this portfolio with our clients every single week. And these are just 3 trades from that portfolio. notice the price and earnings pattern will be similar on all of them. So when we're looking for stocks to buy, forget, you don't need to care about the ticker symbol. You're going to notice the price pattern, the earnings pattern is going to be very similar. Rising price, rising earnings. So you see here, price is smooth. Earnings was smooth and rising as well. And when the market trend was up, that's a key thing we'll talk about. When the market trend was up, this would have been a great candidate. So that's why we got in over here. This stock ended up being a 6% gain in about 2 months. All right, so not bad, right? Here's another one. Rising price, rising earnings. The market was in our favor. We entered. This one was 15% in, was that about a month? CrowdStrike. This is a beautiful looking stock price chart. Also earnings. This was about a 17% gain in, was that about a month and a half? Here's the key. It all starts with picking the right stocks. Smooth rising price and rising earnings. And the point is, there's a ton of stocks out there that meet the criteria that I just showed you. And when you can combine that with the right entry and exit rules, you're going to be able to stack winners like this over time. And the ones that don't work out, you minimize your losses. That's how you consistently grow your account each year. Okay, are you ready to do it? I want to make sure you're alive here. Are you ready to do it? Right? How do you find stocks like we just looked at? I'm going to show you how we do it. Brent says, yep, I'm ready. I'm going to use a tool our clients use. It's called VectorVest. And I think some of you in the chat said that you're actually using VectorVest right now. That's really cool. So a lot of people are ready. So we're going to jump in there and take a look at these stocks. So give me a moment. Let me open up the program. Now, I know there's a lot of numbers and stuff that you're seeing on the screen. We'll come back. This is our home tab. We're going to take a look at a list of stocks. But before I do, I just want to point out, it says VectorVest does not advocate buying any stocks. Okay, there's a red light here in this first column. In fact, we just got a confirmed down call today. So even though we're going to build a list of stocks right now, we're not saying that, even though you're going to create a list of ticker symbols for yourself, we're saying don't go out and buy them today. All right, because remember, the market trumps everything. But let me just, the point of this section was to show you how easy it is to find a list of candidates. So here at VectorVest, we have a thing called a stock viewer. We track here in the US. Now we have products for Canada and Europe and so on. But here in the US, we're tracking over 9,000 stocks. And in this little viewer screen, these are the ones that have the best combination of value, safety, and timing. Okay, value, safety, and timing. We actually call it, it's an indicator called VST. It's a little proprietary indicator we've got. The point is, we've got 20 stocks out of 9,000 that we're going to look at. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to graph them with you. And I bet, and you can, at the end when we're done, you could tell me if who wins the bet. My bet is that you're going to see it at least 3 to 5 that you like, that meet the criteria that we just talked about. All right, now I'm only going to show you each chart for about 3 seconds. That's how quickly you could do this. So I'm just going to graph them. Now on this graph, I've put price and earnings. Now all we're going to be looking for, let me see if I can get another drawing tool out here. I'm going to draw on top of this screen. Remember, we're not saying to buy today. So you might see the price is down today, but we're just looking at an overall quality of stock. Okay, so let me get a pen. We're basically going to look for graphs for as much as possible, go from the bottom left to the upper right with rising earnings. Okay? So I'm not going to tell you what stocks to write down. Right? If you don't like it, move on to the next one. So this one is the first one. We're going to go through in about 2 to 3 seconds each one. So this is NVIDIA. I know you can't see the letters, but IESC. I mean, that looks pretty good, right? EME. FIX. I mean, so far, we find in some good ones. You might, with this one, it's got a little bit more ups and downs. You might say, even though earnings is good, let me move on to the next one. That's fine. You don't have to pick every single one. STRL, TDW. So there's a difference. This one is nearing a new high, whereas like something like, if I go back, STRL is pulling back. So you might say, well, I like TDW better because it's actually still going up. CELH, you might say, I like other ones better. So you skip past it. Oh, but what about CLS? Look at this. Steadily rising. Harmony Gold. Some of you want to get into the gold and silver space, the precious metal space. Well, a mining stock is in the top 20. All right, what about this one? MLR. I'm going to go a little bit faster now. MLR, FTI, NRG. I mean, I'm going to stop there, even though like 5 or 6 more. Let me ask you in the chat. Let me erase all this stuff that I got on there. In the chat, did you find, how about this? How many did you find? Just in that list. I think we didn't go through all 20. We probably went through about 15 or 16. In the chat, were there any? How many did you find? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many? Brent is like, I found 10. Himantal says 10. Andrew, 5. 5. 5 to 10. 5. 3 to 4. Yeah, that's the key. You only need a 3 to 4, right? You don't need to buy 10 stocks tomorrow. Right? So let me ask you this. How is that different from how you've been picking stocks? Is it, here, I'm going to give you some questions. Was it slower or faster? Was it easier or harder? Did it make sense or was it confusing? So type in the chat box, let me know. Was it slower, faster, easier, harder, confusing, make sense? So I'm seeing Andrew, easier. Brent, faster, easier. Lamanta, faster, easier. Easier and faster. Fast, easy, makes sense. Fast, easier, and straightforward, says Eric. Fast, easier, and logical, says John. Fast, easier, says Nick. Yeah. So if you like that tool that I just showed you, I'll show you in a little bit how you could try it out. Like, it's like $1. You could try it out. So hang tight. I'll show you that in just a minute. I happen to love it. I don't know what I'd do without it. So I'll show you that in just a little bit. So I want you to decide for yourself. You should want to do things quicker rather than be overwhelmed. Okay, using that checklist to pick your stocks, you'll have much more confidence and you'll save so much time, especially if you use a tool like the one we just looked at. All right, let's put this all together into a 10-minute management plan. Okay. This is the same plan that we teach our clients, and one of our clients, King, told us that he went from feeling emotionally drained, anxious, and uncertain about managing his portfolio to where he is stress-free and confident. He wrote to us and said, I used to really love investing, but the dot-com bubble really affected me. Emotionally, I was drained. I lost a lot of money. For about 20 years, I kept my money in the bank and 401k. I couldn't handle the roller coaster of uncertainty and the anxiety of watching my stocks. After the COVID crash and the resurgence of the market, I wanted to get back in. The successful investor strategy, which is, by the way, what we're talking about here today, was just what I needed. What to buy, when to sell. It opened my eyes to a whole new way of investing. So take out a piece of paper, right? Another piece of paper, and just draw out a 3x3 grid. This is going to be unbelievably easy. Remember, it only takes 10 minutes a night. There's going to be 3 main sections. So the first section is going to be when to buy. Okay, so you're going to have 3 pieces telling you when it's okay to buy. Those will be in the 3 boxes to the right of that. Then you'll have criteria for what to buy. And third, you'll have rules so you know when to get out of a trade. In other words, when to sell. Okay, so for when to buy, the first box is all about your market entry. This is a market signal telling you it's okay to buy stocks. All right, so that's your market entry. This is where some people use moving averages on the S&P. If that's what you do, put that in that box. Again, it's a little slow and it doesn't give a daily signal. In our system, we have a thing called green lights, which tell me it's okay to buy. Now, for me, I'm just going to write in GLB because that's what we use here at VectorVest. It's called green light buyer. All right, by the way, I'm going to flip back into the VectorVest program. It's as simple as just looking for a green light right here in this first box. That's it. A green light there at the end of the day. That's your signal that says, okay, I can consider buying stocks tomorrow. It's a lot better than moving averages. Okay, so that's the first thing, market entry. Now you want the market to also be rising on the day you buy your stocks. Okay, so that's rising market. Okay, so not only a rising market, this is the market trend is going up. This is the market going up on the day you're buying. And then the third is you want the stock to be rising on the day of your purchase. Now, if you made a list of 3 to 5 candidates, that's fine. The next day when you go to buy your stock, you want to make sure, hey, oh, this one and this one are leading the pack. These are going higher the next day. Okay, now the what to buy, I'm not going to go through that in great detail because we just did that in the 3-part checklist. So that's the rising price, rising earnings, undervalued. In the third row, for the when to sell, you'll have a market exit. Now, there will come a time when the market stops going up. Just like today, we have a confirmed down signal. Now, if that sticks at the end of the day, some people use that signal to go completely into cash. What we do, but in our successful investing coaching, is we use it to tell us when to start to become defensive on our existing positions and tighten stops. Remember, King was financially devastated during the dot-com crash. He never wanted to see that happen to him again because those market crashes are what kill people's portfolios for years. This signal, and I'm just going to write that in this box because we use confirm down to help us make that decision. That signal will allow you to never, ever see your portfolio collapse ever again. Now, the next two, this one would be your stop, right? That's your exit on each individual stock. Remember, you got to have an exit in place. Now, we didn't have time to get into it today, but here at VectorVest, we calculate a stop for each stock. Next is going to be your profit objective. Now, you don't have to sell your stock at your profit objective. We like to let winners run, but we teach you to have an idea of how much you want to get out of that trade and roughly how long it's going to take. Okay? That'll help you eliminate greed. Right? So that's the 10-minute management routine. You're just kind of doing that each day. All right? Every night, you're going to start here at the bottom row, actually. You're going to start at the bottom row. I'll just write number 1, start here. Okay? See if you have a down signal. See if any stock met your exits. If so, place your order to close them. Then what you're going to do is come up here. This will be number 2. Okay, come up there to number 2 and see if it's okay to buy. If so, make sure that every stock, number 3, meets the criteria. And you just rinse and repeat each night, over and over. Okay? If we go back to King, he wrote back to us and he said, I've been using this successful investor strategy for about a year now. I've placed 49 trades with 35 winners and an incredible 102% gain. All this with my largest loss, only 12.5%. I know when I'm getting in, but more importantly, when I'm getting out. My risk is controlled, and that makes for much better sleep at night. I used to panic and sell if there was a down day, like today. Not anymore. I know how to let my winners run and exactly when to cut my losers. So you showed up today probably for a few reasons. Maybe you're not satisfied with the results you've been getting in the market and you wanted to improve. Maybe you haven't really known where to go to find your stocks. You get buried by all the data. Maybe your results have been up and down and you're tired of that roller coaster ride It might be a combination of everything, and you just don't have confidence in yourself that you can actually buy a stock and it'll go up. Maybe you're doing okay right now and you just want to get better. But even if you are doing okay right now, think about how much money you could or should be making. I hope today you saw that it is possible to get your answers quickly using the right tools and a checklist. By doing that, you can invest confidently and not have to rely on those quote unquote gurus who tell you to buy stocks that are going down. And you can get consistent gains in less than 10 minutes a night when you have the right plan. That's the main thing. To be a successful investor, you need a system that works. Your system determines your success. Now, right at the start, I promised I'd give you everything I could. And at the end, I'd show you where you go to get more help. Well, this is where to go, right? I'll show you how to get access to that tool that we just looked at and lay out a step-by-step system to use that tool and become a successful investor over time. So that brings us to the obvious question you're asking now is like, all right, how do I create this type of system in my portfolio right now? Well, those of you who don't use VectorVest right now, you have a choice. I mean, you could leave today's webinar and choose to continue and try to do all the things on your own. Maybe put some of the stuff together that you learned today and learn by trial and error. But I am afraid that you might continue to make those mistakes. And I don't want that to happen to you. Or you could choose to do what I did and what you King did, and that's use a system that gets you right to the solution. I mean, why do all the work on your own when there's a system that's already done the work for you? A system that's used by tens of thousands of people across the world to help them make money in the market. Now, we put together a little plan for you. So in addition to that tool, we have a little quick start course. It's designed so that you can consistently outperform the market in little as 10 minutes a day. So it takes what you've learned today and expands on it. Before we get to that, I do want to point something out. I mean, this is not some get rich quick scheme, right? Albert Einstein said everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. It's important that you understand it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect results in 24 hours. I mean, it's serious and requires some effort on your part, right? A dentist didn't become a dentist by watching a 60-minute video. Right? If you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. This is not some magic pill that you swallow and lose 10 pounds overnight. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and are willing to put some time in to learn the system. By doing that, you will have more money, security, and freedom over time. All right, so we put together this quick start course. I'm just going to show it really quick because it's built right into the tool. And I told you for like $1, you could try it out today. I'll give you that link here in just a second. Okay, it's the easiest way is just to map it out for you. Remember earlier we laid out the 5-step fix. I put that up into the corner for you. Each of the modules of the quick start course teaches you one step of the fixed. So here in the first module of the quick start course, we give you that stock analysis system so you can become an expert at analyzing any stock. Right? You don't have to suffer from information overload. You're going to see exactly what indicators to look at. Next, you're going to learn when to sell. All right. Remember earlier we were talking about weeding your portfolio, getting rid of the bad stocks, knowing where to set your stops on the remaining ones. We'll cover that in module 2. Module 3, we'll talk about what you should be looking at to determine whether it's okay to buy. Hint, it's that green light. Number 4, we're going to give you our top 2 cherry picking strategies to find stocks to buy in your portfolio. You're going to know exactly what to look for. So if you think about it, at this point in the quick start course, you would have gotten the bad stocks out of your portfolio and you're starting to put the good stocks in. And the last thing we do is put it all together into that 10-minute plan. Right? You don't want to be spending hours managing your stocks. We'll show you how to simplify your day and have a plan. By the end, you'll be able to consistently outperform the market. By learning all this at the end of the course, you're going to have, number 1, a simple step-by-step system to buy and sell stocks. Number 2, you'll be able to manage your portfolio in less than 10 minutes a day on average. And number 3, you'll have a system to consistently outperform the market. So here's the thing. I used to work with people here at VectorVest one-on-one, and we used to charge people like $95 an hour, which is why we say, hey, this is worth $475. All right, so now it's all recorded, and we work together in a group setting. So here's what I'd like to do and what our team would like to do with you. Roll up our sleeves, work with you for the next 30 days. Even if you've had no success in the market or limited experience, we're going to do it together. You got these 5 lessons built right into the tool that we looked at. Okay. Now that doesn't mean we're just going to leave you hanging, right? We'll be there with you live every single week. I'll tell you more about that in just a second. So, I mean, you've spent like an hour with me here today. What I'd love to do is reward you for that time and let you try out the tool for just 99 cents. I told you at the very beginning, you could try it out for like $1. So go to VectorVest.com/10. So if you're not using VectorVest right now, you could try it out for a full month for just 99 cents. So if you want to join me and have me take you by the hand, help you fix your portfolio and plug in a system that consistently works, instead of spending hundreds of dollars or doing it on your own, let's work together for just 99 cents. So we put that link into the chat box. So hopefully my teammates have put that link into the chat. www.vectorvest.com/10. All right, let me put it there. So just click on the link into the chat. Now you might be thinking, 99 cents? Are you serious? What's the catch, Brian? No catch, right? No catch. I want to make sure I help you fix your portfolio and turn it around at little to no cost to you. 99 cents at least will tell us that you're serious because you're putting some skin in the game, right? I want to prove to you that you can do this. Now, if you want to continue using VectorVest and getting the coaching afterwards, that's great. Great. But let's work together for the next 30 days and let's turn things around. All right. So VectorVest.com/10. The other bonus that you get, right? So you're going to get the 30 days of access to VectorVest in addition to that, the quick start course that I mentioned. Okay. So this is that tool that I showed you just a moment ago. Right, that gives you the time to go through the course, right? You have 30 days to go through the course, implement the things that you're learning. This tool, like you saw, will drastically reduce the amount of time and effort that you spend finding your stocks. Okay. And I'd be lost without it. Now, 1 month of VectorVest, it ranges between like $69 and $149. After the 30 days, you could choose to stay with it. I mean, I would recommend you do that. But if you don't want it, just send us an email before the end of the 30 days. It's as simple as that. The second bonus is this. Over the course of your 30 days with us, you're going to get access to our members only group coaching sessions, because I don't want to just give you content. I want to help you apply that content. So I'm going to be in there with you every week, making sure you're okay. We get together every Thursday at noon. If you can't make it, don't worry. You can submit questions in the 24/7 chat room or just call in to our support team. Plus, you get access to the recordings. We'll discuss what's going on in the market, what our market timing indicators are advising, and I'll spend time helping you apply the things that you are learning in the Quick Start course. We'll discuss your successes, what you're working on right now, and exactly where you need help. Right? If you need any help with any part of the system, I'll be there to help you out. So again, go to VectorVest.com/10 to get started today. Just a few quick comments from people who have had success with this. You know, Ajibi wrote to us and he said, since following the steps in this course, my portfolios are up 22%. These are my retirement portfolios, 4 in total. And the improvement, as I'm sure you can understand, is very important. Sorry, the improvement. Right? Everything is super info, says Amelia. It gave me the insight about investing, buying stocks, knowing when and what to buy and when to exit. Fantastic lessons in one place. Blaine said, VectorVest has been an amazing experience for me and my family. I've earned 15% in the last 6 weeks, and I've learned so much. I wish I had found you guys 20 years ago. You have made investing easier, simpler, and fun. Melody said, in the last 3 weeks, after pruning my portfolio, by the way, that's lesson 2 of the course, and adding only a few new stocks, I am up about 9%. Before doing this, I had an overall portfolio loss. More confidence in my investing decisions. It is simple and easy to follow if you take the time to learn the process. Pierre said, I'm now able to make my own my own choices rationally, not emotionally. I feel really confident. I know how to build a list of stocks to buy, how to size my trades correctly, and how to set and update my stops. And then Ray said, huge time saver. Your system brings a definitive clarity to the underlying markets, which I haven't seen in any other products. Your system saves a lot of time in trying to figure out what the bipolar Mr. Market is trying to tell us every day. Now, in case 99, you might think 99 cents, that's a no-brainer. I have one additional bonus for you if you're still kind of on the fence about spending 99 cents to try it out. I want to reward people who act fast. So I want to give you a head start. I already went through a bunch of graphs for you, right? I did that on my own a couple days ago. And what I did is I hand-picked a list of stocks that have smooth, steady, rising prices and earnings. I also recorded a video for you showing you how to put those stocks into a watch list in the software. Simply send me an email after you complete your order right now, and I'll personally respond to you with a link to that list of stocks. Now, I'll put my email in the chat here. It's just my first name, Brian, the letter D, like David, at VectorVest.com. Right? Just send me an email. Now, you got to do it in the next 60 minutes. Right? It says there you have to order in the next 60 minutes. So just send me an email in the next 60 minutes. Let me know you have to tell me, your username, right? And that way I know your account, and let me know why you're emailing me. All right. But you got to do it in the next 60 minutes. Let me know that you placed your order for the trial, and I'll send you that list of stocks. Okay. So it's just briand@VectorVest.com. Remember earlier, we talked about those mistakes. And I asked you how much those mistakes were costing you. You remember those 4? If you totaled the losses, how much do you think it would total? Some of you were saying 10,000, 25,000, right? If that number is equivalent to more than 99 cents, let's fix things once and for all. Even if you thought about, oh, well, what about a subscription to VectorVest? Well, you could think about that later. Right? But if it's more than 99 cents, let's spend the next month and let's fix things. Let's make it so that you never have to experience a portfolio collapse ever again. Let's make it so 2024 is the year you turn things around. Plus, if you do want the 99 cents refunded back to you, we'll do it. Just let us know. Say, hey, I'm not satisfied, and we'll give you your 99 cents back if you ask. We are very confident you will love what you get, and if you do the work, you will see the results. Right? You're not locked into any long-term contracts with us, right? So just VectorVest.com/10. If you don't want to continue with a subscription after the trial, just call or email us and let us know. So when you go to VectorVest.com/10, you'll see a page that looks like this. All you got to do is click on the button over on the side that says Get Started. Okay? Just click on Get Started. And then when you come over to this page, you'll see a page like this. Now, I recommend, they're all 99 cents. You might as well click on the premium one. Right? You'll get access to real-time data here in the US. We have delayed data in Canada, end-of-day data in other countries. Right? I reckon you might as well just pick this one because they're all 99 cents. You might as well get the best one. Okay? So just click on that. Again, I'm going to stick around and answer whatever questions you might have, whether it be about the service, the offer, or whatever. Okay? Remember, if you do order in the next 60 minutes, simply send me an email after you order, and I'll reply back with the hand-picked list of stocks. Okay? But you need to send me that email in the next 60 minutes. Okay? I do want to thank you very much for being here, right? From the bottom of my heart. It was an honor to do this with you here today, and it'll be an honor to work with you going forward. So thank you for being here today. Let us know in the chat also if you signed up for the trial. That way we could also welcome you. My team in the background has been typing to you feverishly, trying to answer your questions. If you do have a question, just let me know in the chat. But go to VectorVest.com/10, start your trial today, and let's do this together. All right, we look forward to working with you. All right, I'm going to stick around and answer whatever questions you've got. I did promise to put a little PDF into the chat for you if you stuck to the end. Thank you for those of you who are reminding me. Let me just put that into the chat. There we go. It'll take a second for it to upload. If you're watching on YouTube, my team will put a link in there for you. All right. So, by the way, Andrew says, how long is this offer valid for? Well, the fast action bonus is for the next 60 minutes, right? But the 99 cent thing, we're going to turn that off in the next few days. I think there's probably a little countdown timer on the page that'll let you know. And then it'll go back to we do have a normal trial, which is like $10. All right, so it'll save you $10 plus you get a list of stocks by doing it now. Bud says, "Thank you, BD, from another BD." Thanks, Bud, for letting me know. All right, and the list of stocks I put together, Andrew, I was going to go into the Canadian product and make a list, but I just did the US stocks. All right, but you could use the techniques that you learned today to go through. It's just as quick and easy that you could just open up our Canadian product and do the same type of thing. All right. You're welcome, Andrew. Jeffrey, the video that I put together is a video just showing you how to add stocks to a watch list. And so we do have some training inside of VectorVest on the training tab that our team can show you. But if you just want to send me an email, I could, since you're already a member, I could send you that link as well. And I'll just send it over to you. Those of you asking, where's the PDF for the trading plan outline that I promised at the beginning? Derek, I put it into the handouts area of GoToWebinar. So right above where you just typed into me, Derek, there's a section that says handouts. And you just have to click on the PDF and it'll download. Most likely it'll go into your downloads folder. Okay, and then you just have to open it up and save it to your computer. Yep, Nick, the 99-cent trial, you get access to all versions of VectorVest. You get access to the US product, the Canadian product, Australia, Europe. You can access all of them if you want. Just click on the flag of the product that you want to log into. Andrew, it's an online course. So when you log into VectorVest, let me just show you. That's a great question. When you log into the software, simply hop over to the training tab. And let me just make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. There we go. The quick start course that I talked about is right here. All right. So as soon as you log into the software, I would recommend going through this quick start course first. That's what I talked about in today's session. All right. So because you were asking when do the live sessions start, the course itself is pre-recorded. Just go through the quick start course. You can see it's not going to take you very long to get through. It's about an hour and a half. And then we do have live coaching every Thursday. All right. In your welcome, the welcome video the welcome email that you get after you sign up, there's going to be a link to that coaching room. And you just have to click on that link and you can get access to the coaching room and just be there on Thursdays. We do it at noon. All right. You're welcome, Andrew. Marcia says, thank you. I'd be crazy not to join. Well, I wouldn't call you crazy, Marcia, but I think it just makes sense. Edwin, we'll try and get a link out to you. Gerard, awesome. You subscribed. Great to have you. Awesome, Jeffrey says, I've been watching the videos more than once too. They have been very helpful, and now I have other questions. One of your reps said they would reach out to me, and again, thank you. So we thank you, Jeffrey. All right, folks. Well, unless there's some additional questions, I'm going to scroll back just to see if I missed one. But if you do have a question, I'll give you like 10 more seconds to type it into the chat. Looks like my team in the background has done a great job of answering your questions in the chat. But let me go back to this screen. To start your trial, just go to vectorvest.com/10. It's just 99 cents. We're going to do this together for the next month. All right? We're going to get together. You can go through the pre-recorded training. We'll get together on coaching every Thursday. And we're going to help you turn things around. All right. Lee says, I can't find the package. All right. So Lee, just go to vectorvest.com/10. Let's do it together. I'm going to open up a web browser. And you just have to go to www.vectorvest.com. VectorVest.com/ and the number 10. All right, just do that. Or you click the link in the chat. When you do that, you'll be brought to a page that looks like this. And then just hit get started. Okay, and then you just have to select one of those. Now, Lee says, oh, I already joined. Okay, so Lee said you're looking for the PDF to download. All right, so right above where you're typing, there's a little handouts area. All right, I got a link for you. I will just give that to you in the chat, and you could copy and paste this link into a web browser. But if you think about it, if you're already a member, we're going to put together that trading plan together in the Quick Start course anyway. But if you're just use that link I just sent to you. You're welcome. All right. John says, I'm in. Looking forward to getting started. Awesome, John. We can get started today, right? Just log in, start going through the Quick Start course. And if you're available tomorrow at the same time we started today, we have our coaching. If you're available tomorrow. If not, you can always watch the recording of our typical coaching that we do. And Brian, and you even spelled Brian correctly. Brian, yeah, we typically have a trial to VectorVest. It's like $10. So this will save you $9 of those dollars if you do it over the next couple of days here. Just VectorVest.com/10. You are welcome. All right, John says, sounds good. Maybe we'll see. You have to give us a shout in the chat tomorrow if you join our coaching session. I do recommend that you at least make it through some of that Quick Start course before you just hop into the coaching. It'll make a whole lot more sense. All right. Okay, folks. So thank you very much for being here. It was, like I said, it was an honor to work with you in today's session. Hopefully we'll get to work together going forward, at least for the next 30 days, and you'll turn your portfolio around. And who knows, maybe you'll decide, hey, that VectorVest tool does save me a lot of time and it is awesome. And you'll decide to continue on with it after your 30 days. All right. I think that's it. All right. Go to VectorVest.com/10 and I will possibly see you tomorrow at the coaching. All right. Bye, everybody.